Okay, now we're going to get started with the next project here. I love this stamp. Works so well, and there's so many different ways that you can use it. I'm going to start first by inking it with a number 45. This is a sepia pen. Most of our projects start with the number 45, so this may seem familiar to you. I'm going to just ink the back, and I'm going to stamp it on my watercolor paper, like so. And I'm going to take my brush and just pull the color out of the lines. Make sure you don't get too much water on here. If there's any way that you can mess up, it's by adding too much water. So you just want to use a light hand, and you can see how this is kind of looking like a watercolor painting already just by taking the color out of the lines. Now if I want to add a little bit more color to this, I'm going to do it off of my palette. So I'll just add a little bit of color here. Dip my brush in water. And I can just brush on a little bit of color. Don't worry about getting every area. Try not to color in every single area. And then you can add a little bit of an embellishment if you want to. Doesn't matter, you don't need to either. Okay, finished with that. Now I want to add some foliage in here. This is our little foliage stamp. This works great. And because I'm using a marker, I'm just going to ink part of it, just this half, because I have this handle in the way, so I don't want to stamp over the top of that. So I'm just going to ink this part, and now I'm going to ink the other part so that I can stamp it over here on this side. Okay, going to add a little bit of water, and I'm just going to use a light hand and just kind of dab this water on here, and that gives you that look of the watercolor painting. Just very carefully add this, use the fine tip of your brush. So now I have my foliage in here. Okay, now I'm going to take this little vine and add some color to it. In fact, I'm going to change and add a little different color here. I'm going to ink the back, and I don't need to necessarily ink the entire thing. I'm just going to ink the end of it. Put a little bit over here. This is so up to your imagination. None of these projects turn out the same twice. And it's so much fun to use these stamps in so many different ways. Now I'm going to just take my brush and just soften this up again. Just adding water to here. Don't need to use much water at all. Okay, now I want to add some flower and some color in here, so I'm going to use this stamp, and I'm going to use my positioner. I want to make sure that I get it in the right place, and I don't want to have it floating in the air. So first thing I'm going to do is place my plexiglass in the corner. I'm going to ink the stamp. I'm going to use the green on the stems, and then I'll use a bright color on the flowers. Like so. Now with my shield in the corner, I'm going to stamp my flowers right in the corner. So now I have on my shield the impression of the stamps, and I can move this around and decide where exactly I want to place it. And I think that's a good spot right there, and I think what I'll do is leave this flower off and just use these on the top. So I'll put my square back in the corner, and remove my shield, and I'll clean my stamp off. And now I'm going to re-ink this, and I'm not going to use the flower on the bottom. I'm just going to use these ones on the top. And I'll add the vines. And now I can stamp my flowers right into my bouquet, and all the guesswork is gone. And I'm going to add the water. finished with the light brush. And I'll just clean my brush off and go back in and brush in the stems. And I can add a little more color to it again. This is another one of our really popular florals. And again, I'm just going to ink the very top. I don't need to ink the stem in here. I just want the flowers to pop out. And water. Now we're almost finished. See how quick and easy that was? You can make these paintings in about 5 minutes. They're so great and they turn out so good every time because they're so simple. And that's a nice thing about stamps is that all the hard work has been done for you. You know, all you have to do is just stamp these images, add some foliage to them, and your project's almost finished. Here's my favorite little stamp again. I love this little grass. It's in almost every one of my projects. It just completes the picture. And adding a little bit of water. And if I want to add a little bit more color, I can do it from my palette. Don't be afraid to go outside of the lines when you're adding the water. Now when you're finished, you can take the fine point of your number 45 and draw some of these little details back in. Sometimes when you add water, you can lose some of these little details, and that's the nice thing about this fine point of this brush, is you can go back in and add those. And don't forget to sign your painting. Make sure you put your name on here. This is your own special work of art, and there you have it. Finished in about 5 minutes. To order Art Impressions rubber stamps, instructional booklets, and watercolor accessories, visit our website, artimpressions.com, shop our store. AI stamps are available mounted on wood or unmounted on cling cushion for use with acrylic mounts.